Curse of the 21st. It's not unusual for people to be superstitious about inexplicable things. For some, it's magpies, black cats, or walking under ladders. But for the French King Louis XVI, that was the number 21. And it didn't work out so well for him. You see, before he took the throne, an astrologer warned Louis to always be cautious of the 21st day of each month. During his rule, Louis made sure never to do business on the 21st. But in the throes of the French Revolution, fate had other plans. On June 21, 1791, Louis and his wife Marie Antoinette were arrested while attempting to flee the country. And on September 21st of 1791, their reign was toppled when France was officially declared a republic. If that wasn't unlucky enough, Louis was then executed by guillotine as a direct result on January 21st, 1793. Message in a bottle. Finding a mysterious message in a bottle is something most of us can only dream of. But one man named Mark Anderson truly lucked out in 2006 when he found the oldest message in a bottle on record. Anderson was manning a Scottish fishing boat named the Copious when he happened upon the 92-year-old bottle, which landed him a spot in the Guinness World Records. After bragging relentlessly to his fellow fisherman friend Andrew Leeper about the find, Anderson was about to get a reality check in the form of one astounding coincidence. 6 years later in 2012, Andrew Leeper was hauling in his nets on the very same boat when he noticed a bottleneck sticking out of the water. The 98-year-old bottle, which contained a note from 1914, outdated Anderson's by 6 years, making him the new world record holder. 20-year-old bullet. Here's a riddle for you. How is it possible for a bullet to kill its intended victim 20 years after being fired? The answer is one of the most mind-blowing coincidences you will ever come across. The tale begins in 1893 in Honey Grove, Texas, when a timber businessman named Henry Ziegland abruptly broke off an engagement with his lover. Unable to cope with the heartbreak, she took her own life, and her brother then decided to defend her honor by killing Ziegland. After following Ziegland and firing the gun, the young man fled the scene, believing him to be dead. Remarkably, the bullet had only grazed Ziegland's cheek and became lodged in a nearby tree. Having long celebrated his luck, Ziegland decided to remove the great oak 20 years later in 1913, and he opted for dynamite to speed up the process. In the explosion, the bullet became dislodged and fired off at Ziegland, killing him at last. No one said karma is always instant, right? Interrupted phone call. This next incredible coincidence was submitted by a Be Amazed viewer named Dennis, and it's pretty unbelievable stuff. Dennis, who was formerly enlisted in the U.S. Army, had never met his brother-in-law, but he knew he was a fighter pilot in the Air Force. When the estranged pair eventually met, they discussed their former postings and realized that they were both stationed in South Korea in 1974 through 1975. That's just the start of the revelations though, as Dennis also remarked that there was some well-known rivalry between different branches at the time, and he distinctly remembers an occasion when an Air Force fighter pilot had ruined an important phone call back to the U.S. While contacting his mother from outside the base, a fighter jet was doing treetop level passes over the building he was calling from, making it impossible to communicate on the phone. While retelling the story, his brother-in-law couldn't help but laugh. He was the pilot flying overhead. If you have any one-in-a-million coincidences you'd like to share, go ahead and contact us at coincidences@beamazed.com. I'd love to hear them. And who knows, you might just be featured in the next installment like Dennis. Sharkception. Sharks are some of the most feared creatures in the animal kingdom, and it's really no surprise when photos as truly terrifying as this exist. Yes, that's a shark inside another shark. Researchers at the University of Delaware snapped a pic of this incredible coincidence when they were hauling in a large sand tiger shark, only to discover that a 3-foot-long dogfish, a smaller type of shark, was also hooked on the line and had been swallowed whole. The sand tiger shark was released after being tagged, but there's no word about what happened to the poor dogfish. Excellent shot. Check out this incredible shot, which somehow defies all logic. It's impossible to tell if this was someone's first time axe throwing or whether this is a feat which could only be achieved by the most highly skilled thrower. Either way, some of us can't even get a magnet to stick to a fridge successfully, so I'd say this is one impressive coincidence. Impressionist apple. You might remember the pigeon that pooped a self-portrait of itself on a leaf, but now I present you something far more impressive. An apple artist. This charming portrait must have been years in the making, and it's really something to behold. What's next? The Banana Lisa? Lost and found. There's nothing quite as heartbreaking as coming across a lost dog poster on the street. But it's not so often you happen upon one which is accompanied by the dog in question. That didn't stop this guy from chilling out on the sidewalk under his own photograph though, totally oblivious to the fact his owner is probably freaking out somewhere. Maybe he ran away from home and now he's missing his home comforts and regretting the rash decision. Or maybe he even put the poster up himself just for the attention. Like some canine con artist. Uncanny resemblance. Being a news reporter comes with its own set of challenges, like following the auto cue correctly, dealing with uncontrollable live guests, and all those times you get mistaken for wanted criminals, right? Unfortunately, for one BBC Crime Watch presenter in 2016, that's exactly what happened when the stars aligned and the thug in the wanted mugshot turned out to be an uncanny doppelganger of Jason Mohammed, who was co-reporting on the story. Poor old Jason looked pretty uncomfortable as he noticed the spitting image, but thankfully he took it all in stride, tweeting that he'd seen the comparisons online. He still didn't deny that it was him, though. Do you think fate was at work in any of these unbelievable coincidences? And have you experienced anything like this yourself? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.